Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to you all. I just wanted to tell you the great news that we are probably going to be taking the U.S. Senate. In all likelihood, the Democrats will control the House, the Senate, and the presidency all in one for the next couple years. The Associated Press and the New York Times have called the race for Raphael Warnock. So he has officially beaten Kelly Loeffler, although I'm pretty sure she has not conceded. And last night, she was speaking about a path to victory. But considering how almost all the counties are at 98%, voting and reporting, I don't think that's going to happen. So we can just say for once that Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell is his official title as of today. Although they are not yet calling it for John Ossoff, he is still leading. He's still leading David Perdue, and he is in the same boat. 98% of the estimated vote total has been reported. The counties that really would possibly change it are also seeing pretty much consistent reports like Henry, DeKalb, Chatham, Fulton, Gwinnett, Cobb, and Cherokee and Forsyth. Like these counties are all 98% reporting, 97% reporting, and the ones that really would work well for the Republicans are relatively small compared to the Democratic ones. So it looks like we are going to have a progressive, or at the very least, Democratic Senate for the next coming years. One of the things that I think we need to be wary about is firstly, let's not get too comfortable. We had this during the first 2 years under the Obama administration, and then we ended up having Mitch McConnell for all eternity. So when we go into the next elections, we need to be just as active at the polls. We need to be just as fierce, and we can't just jump on the bandwagon every time there's some evil person that we want to condemn. It needs to be, we're showing up at the polls if it's a moderate Republican, we're showing up at the polls if it's a radical Republican. We don't need to play this softball game and say, hey, we won, we can all go to brunch now. The politics is a consistent game for really the future of the country, and that's something we need to be aware of. Some of you may be aware that I had a stream last night for about 2 hours with Rico Rants and Jody from Imperial News. And due to some technical difficulties and incompetence on my part, there was no audio for about an hour and 16 minutes into the stream. So for that, I apologize. There will be audio in this, hopefully, since I've added myself to the stream, which is a bit weird. I didn't know you had to add yourself to your own stream. I thought that was kind of your own thing. It's yours. But anyway, I had to delete the stream, but just a brief synopsis of the conversation we had. We talked about how, Rico was talking about how he was going to enjoy bragging to Carissa Avalon, saying that he was right, that the Democrats were going to win the Senate. And then Jody was talking about how there's a risk of kingmakers within the Democratic Party, even though they control the Senate, meaning like people who would block certain results or hold on to certain levels of power to control votes and make sure that none of the progressive legislation goes through. I think to some extent there's a risk of that, and I said that to Jody last night, but I think the anger at establishment politics is strong enough to force some things through. And I mean, really what people have to be wary of is stagnation and inaction on the part of our government. So I think that there's a risk of kingmakers and all that, but we should be good. As for Rico bragging to Carissa Avalon and a couple of others, I think we are going to see a very interesting dynamic in that one. He's having a field day right now. I guarantee you that. Also, just a heads up, my Wi-Fi is down. I'm doing this via my phone, and so if I disconnect or anything, that's why. I don't know what happened, but I woke up this morning and got out of the shower, and the Wi-Fi wasn't working like 30 minutes before stream. So that's just a heads up. Also, we have the the House and the Senate voting on whether or not to allow Biden to be president or to recognize the fact that he is. I'm trying to figure out if they have it on C-SPAN, and so I can show you that. But I think with the recent approach by some members of Congress and several members of the United States Senate in the Republican Party, I think we have a major problem and a major reason why the Republicans cannot be allowed to hold power anymore, at least on the federal level or in general, that they refuse to accept results that they lose. Like already Trump is saying things like, oh, we went to bed and we were winning in the Ossoff race, and now we wake up and he as in Purdue is losing. It's the same nonsensical BS that they keep playing up whenever they get the chance. So he's gonna scream fraud, and I wouldn't be surprised if Loeffler screamed fraud too. But that said, I don't think they're gonna be able to do much about it. But that attitude of conspiratorial thinking is gonna show itself in the Senate and in the House. And that's going to just cause all kinds of problems for us. I'm not going to try this C-SPAN live stream because they're not working right now. This is what happens when you're streaming through a potato as a Wi-Fi modem. Here we go. No, that's not. That is not what's happening. That was the. Yep, the joint session of Congress is currently happening. So I will show you that. Just give me a minute. So yeah, as you can see, there is not a lot happening right now. They're just going through the motions. But I do think I have a few things I'd like to touch on. Firstly, I think it's hilarious that Loeffler went out of her way to say that she would not certify the results showing that Biden won the presidency. And now she's not going to be herself certified because she lost. But I also think it's interesting how a party of supposed constitutional Republicans were perfectly willing to, sue Vice President Pence to compel him to take powers that he himself recognizes that he does not yet have, like that he has never had under the Constitution. He can't unilaterally decide which votes are fraudulent and which are legitimate. That's something that the New York Times reported that he had to tell the president himself, which speaks volumes about who we had as our president for the last 4 years. But I do think we're going to see a bit of screwed up rhetoric, I think, surrounding Georgia. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a contested election with Ossoff, just because Purdue seems like the kind of person who wouldn't really care. I mean, this is the guy whose campaign enlarged Ossoff's nose to make him look like a stereotypical Jewish person. So, I mean, the bar is very low for these Georgia Republicans. So, yeah, that's not going to be fun. I do wonder, though, how many congressional Republicans will actually vote against the results. Because that, to me, seems like a very dangerous game to be playing, especially when the Democratic Party would actually be more in interest to do things like this, because even though the Senate minority, the Democratic minority from the last session, or technically the current session, represented more people, they didn't have as much power. Of course, that's now changing, but they would have every interest in like obstructing Republicans if they wanted to just get something and force their hand. So I think that's just a little interesting. But I do think while it's not, how do I say this? I think it's nice that we're finally getting somewhere and we can finally say bye-bye Mitch, because he's 78 now. He'll be out soon. I also think we need to realize that we came very, very close to not only a fascistic president, I think, but also just a total breakdown in our norms. I mean, we had Trump on audio literally a couple days ago saying, I need you to find me 11,780 votes. And if you don't do that, well, you're at risk and you're putting your lawyer at risk, Ryan. I mean, that's the kind of crap that, like, you would not expect from. Oh, are they saying something? Or did someone just hit their microphone? It looks like someone just hit their microphone. But like, that's the kind of crap that you hear from totalitarian leaders who want to not only alter the results of the election, but they just want to, spread fear mongering. Like, I would expect Viktor Orban or Vladimir Putin to do something along those lines of not only threatening members within his own party to do his bidding, but also just like engaging in wide conspiracies. So I think I don't doubt for a moment that stuff's not going to end. I think it's going to get worse now that the Democrats actually control a significant portion of the government, but it's just going to be interesting. Let's see, when was the last update for the Asif results? Because he's current, from what I can see, 98% reporting, 50.2% for Asif at the moment. And then I saw on Twitter this morning that apparently Rudy Giuliani says that we should there should be trial by combat. Clearly, he's never seen how that worked out. But yeah, I mean, oh, for God's sake. Yeah, just a heads up, if I can't show you some of the results for the New York Times at the moment, I will let you guys know, because I am streaming through a potato at the moment. My Wi-Fi is completely down, and I am doing it through my phone. So apologies in advance, because there is a very real chance that things will get utterly screwed very quickly. Also, I would just like to say that I was very thankful to Jody and Rico Rants for joining me last night. That was a very interesting conversation, and it worked out very well. I particularly appreciated Jody's contributions from a Canadian perspective, since he is in fact Canadian. Can I not even connect to... Yeah, so I made the mistake of trying to refresh the New York Times page, and now I can't access it. Like, they got all these problems all at once, and you just stream through a potato. So we'll see what happens, but I'm not going to refresh any of this. I'll just tell you what's happening through my phone, because I don't want you guys to not be able to see. But I just got news from Politico that Biden has selected Merrick Garland to be his attorney general. So that will likely pass. Merrick Garland is a very highly respected member of the judiciary. He was supposed to be on the Supreme Court, and then, of course, Moscow Mitch McConnell blocked it, and it didn't even give him a hearing. I think we also just as a side note, because I think I never thought that I'd see the day when Mitch McConnell lost an election, or rather lost control of the Senate. Mitch McConnell was just atrocious. Like, he was extremely ineffective. I've written on this on my Medium page, which you can all check out. But like, his ability to obstruct, block, and refuse to work with people from the other side was so damaging that his Senate was one of the most unproductive Senates in recent history. Yep, New York Times just confirmed that Merrick Garland will be the Attorney General. So we will actually have a respectable Attorney General instead of William Barr, who was involved in Iran-Contra. Yeah, that the best and brightest people from the previous administration. I think we can have a bit of a sigh of relief that one of the most stubborn, ineffectual, disrespectful members of the United Senate is no longer the Senate leader as of the 20th. Also, I think it's important to note that with Warnock, that was a special election, but if Ossoff is confirmed, and I'm pretty sure he will be, that's 6 years. He will be in the Senate for 6 years, so we don't have to fight for Ossoff in 2 years. We just have to fight for Warnock to keep him in. So in 2 years' time, if you guys could phone bank in Georgia, help out in any way that they can, or just spread the word about the importance of Warnock's work and his contributions to the United States Senate, that will ensure a majority. I think as I said in the stream, though that stream no longer exists, we really, really need to start investing in these states that are not only traditionally Republican, but also now going purple. Particularly because the voter suppression in those areas doesn't mean that those states are red. They're suppressed. I know people like Stacey Abrams have been making a point about this, but these areas have a large black population who have been consistently disenfranchised by the contemporary Republican Party, and focusing on them and helping them out will not only ensure their liberation as just people, as Americans, being able to vote freely and equally before the law, but also just in general, it'll allow them to, help us out. We help them, they help us. But really, this at the core of this is about voting rights. Jeez, it's remarkably quiet. I expected more drama. Because with people like Kelly Loeffler before the Senate, I expected like a bit of a fight. And I wonder, yeah, it's still live. Yeah. So the audio's fine. They're just not having as much of a fight. Yeah, so I think what we're gonna see is like there's not gonna be as much of a problem with the upcoming results. I'm gonna check on my phone to see the New York results right now. But yeah, it looks good. I gotta tell you, it is really annoying when you wake up in the morning and you find that you're. Oh, don't tell me my internet's so bad on my phone too that I can't even. I'm paying. Yeah, so it hasn't changed all that much. They haven't updated since around 11:34 this afternoon, so about a couple minutes ago. But basically, Asif, I'm going to just say it because this is 4.4 million people voted in this election. 2.2 million of them voted for John Ossoff, and 2.19 million voted for David Perdue. So I don't think we're going to have to worry about the loss to the Senate. So I think we've got a senator for the next 6 years for the progressive causes and pushing for hopefully $2,000 checks and stimulus. Perhaps we'll get some subsidies for state and local governments. I know we had to sacrifice that to just get the $600 stimulus checks through. But with really true economic revitalization, if we're going to actually see that, we're going to need to actually invest in local governments because they're going to be the key. They're going to like major infrastructure across this country because a lot of the infrastructure of America is not controlled by the federal government. A large portion of like the interstate roads that falls within the federal government's jurisdiction, and of course they'll help anywhere they can because that's in their best interest. But I think really the states and the local governments and municipalities, that's where the economic revitalization is also going to need to take place because a lot of states, including Iowa and Illinois, have lost a significant portion of their revenue. I know California was doing well with actually getting their debt under control, and then the pandemic hit. And now it's getting even worse. Of course, debt should not be the only thing we're concerned about. I mean, 350,000 Americans are dead because of this thing. But really, with a Democratic House, at least now we can get something through. Yeah, I just gotta say it's a bit unfortunate that we have to actually question whether or not we'll get support from our federal government. And for since May, there was a possibility of support for local governments and $1,000 to everyday Americans, including dependents, and yet we were just left hung out to dry. And I don't. It's just a sad day when the idea that asking the government that belongs to you as a member of the American people, as a citizen of the United States, somehow becomes seen as like a bad thing. I know some people. I'm sure you've heard the whole free stuff meme with John F. Kennedy, where they're like, "Oh, in the old days we say, ask not what your government can do for you. Ask not your country what you can do for what it can do for you, but what you can do for your country," sort of quote. And then they point to AOC and say, "Oh, she wants free stuff," or something like that. And the fact of the matter is, that's first off, that's not what JFK is talking about. He's actually talking about military action in Vietnam. He's actually saying, "Don't ask me what when I can give you the citizenry. Go serve your country in the Cold War." Yeah, that would not be all that appealing to even modern day Republicans, but nor would JFK's support for healthcare programs and public support and all that. So, I mean, many of them were very like New Deal kind of Democrats. So that's a whole nother thing. But I think right now, one of and I know a lot of progressives are saying it on Twitter right now, that the Democrats no longer have an excuse to trudge their foot through the sand. They're pretty much guaranteed a majority in the U.S. Senate. They have a slim majority in the House, so that may cause some problems for them to be as progressive as they like. But now they are doing much better than they were 4 years ago. They're doing much better. Have this control of the Senate for the first time in 6 years. So make no mistake, they have every opportunity to really start investing and doing good things. Firstly, I think, and since this is just background at this point and I can't show you the New York Times because my connection's bad, I think what we're going to have to see here is a discussion about what policies we want to see go forward. And firstly, I think we need to start talking about undoing almost every major, like, cruel and unusual punishment that Donald Trump has levied against undocumented immigrants and documented immigrants alike. Because he didn't just go after the illegal immigrants, as he calls them, but documented immigrants as well. It didn't matter to him. They were all a threat. We got to undo the Muslim ban. We should make sure that never happens again. Oh, looks like we're getting the commentary.
Of ESCON.
Oh, I accidentally just muted it.
Counting of the electoral ballots.
Well, it looks like they're counting the electoral ballots now. So I'll wait until they're done, because I've never watched one of these before, so we'll see what happens. I can't wait to see the reaction from Mitch McConnell, knowing that he'll be the minority leader and taking cues from Chuck Schumer. Of course, Chuck Schumer's a centrist, so it's not something super to celebrate, but I'll take a centrist Democrat over a right-wing obstructionist or a political nihilist, if you want to call him that. It must be amazing to walk through those halls, though. And yes, as you can see, I actually cleaned up my room a little bit. wonder if I could invite Rico and the others. Copy. Yeah, my internet's not doing good, so I cannot do that. You know, it's always funny. First two streams, one of them I forget the audio's not working for an hour and 16 minutes, and the other time, freaking no audio, no internet. I mean, that's just how it seems to go. I'm gonna move this a little closer. Oh my lord. I wonder where Marjorie is. Because I know she had a bit of a tizzy over the mask. Also, I just gotta say, if you're an anti-mask and you are a member of Congress, you should probably be ejected for just being an idiot. Like, I have no problem with them ejecting people who refuse to wear masks, because there are some pretty high-risk people in terms of what the virus can do to a person in that Congress and in the Senate. Like, if you cannot be... Oh no, Senate certification. She would not be in there. So Senate certifies. Okay. Oh, I mistook it. Yeah, that's what I thought. But no, it would be kind of funny to see like people. It would be actually kind of interesting to see if Democrats actually start sending messages about this kind of stuff, because frankly, the Republicans politicized the mask thing as a whole issue about liberty and whatnot. Never mind the fact that liberty comes from collective interests in part due to people working together to achieve the common good. But I just think, yeah, it's a sad day in our politics when we have to say to ourselves, hey, are members of Congress and the Senate going to wear a mask today during a viral pandemic? Maybe, I don't know. Which party are they from? Like, that's the state of our politics, I think. I'm just thankful that they're all like, look, like there's Mike Pence, there's Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. Oh, I will say that is absolutely beautiful that at the end of a presidency whom he bowed to and just capitulated to on everything and like did all this crazy stuff for, he is now going to be the Senate Minority Leader because that same president shot him in the foot. What did you expect? Like, I mean, like, this is the thing that I'll never understand about Republican support for Mitch McConnell, for Donald Trump. I never understand someone as like aware as Mitch McConnell supporting Donald Trump. You knew that Donald Trump had years of birtherism under his belt. I mean, the guy was literally saying that the first black president of the United States was born in Kenya. Kenya, for crying out loud. And then not only that, but he had called for the death of the Central Park Five. I mean, that's reason enough for me to be like that the Republicans were perfectly fine with racism. Never mind like the Southern strategy and their long history of that kind of nonsense. But they were explicitly supporting a guy whose ads you can find. I found the freaking ad that he took out after the Central Park 5 results. So it looks like they're certified. They have certified the results. And now it's just paperwork at this point. Oh, all right. So they are now heading to the United States House for the joint session. And this is where the shit will hit the fan. I have a distinct feeling, and I hope I'm wrong, that the Republicans in the House will start something and it'll be a major problem. So I'm going to be right back. I am just going to grab grab some water. But I'm gonna mute myself, enjoy the cadence of my room or whatever you want to call it. But I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Looks like it takes them a while to get to the house. So I'm just gonna say a few things before this begins, so that way we know what's gonna happen for the next couple of days and really for the next couple of months. I don't know if I'll be doing consistent live streaming, because clearly I have some things to figure out about that. But I will be trying to do a podcast, I believe, every Friday. Not this week though, but hopefully next week. But every Friday, catching you guys up on the week of politics that happened and what I think of it. And you guys can listen in. It's just the Progressive American. You can look me up on Apple Podcast, and I'm right there. So it's pretty simple there. As for YouTube videos, I have one coming up that I've been procrastinating about, but it will be discussing the role of anti-vaxxers and COVID-19, and really just a bit of the history of anti-vaxxerism in general. And I'm going to try and talk about how platforms have a responsibility to deal with this. So hopefully that will come out soon. If I get off my rear end and actually put the video together, I gotta find video and stuff, but we'll see. Also, I have noticed that a couple of people really liked my last video talking about Trump's end and the current state of the Republican Party. So I appreciate everybody's support on that. That took me till 4 a.m, and so I really appreciate when a video does well, for especially for a small channel like mine. So thank you very much. So we're just waiting on the joint session of Congress at the moment. So yeah, they're gonna take a while. But I will say, I want to hear your thoughts on. You can message me on progressive. Well, you could comment on one of my videos, since this will be up sometime today, maybe on my YouTube channel in the comment section. But I want to know what your thoughts are for the Republican Party. Like, what do you think they're going to be like now that one of their main sources of power, Mitch McConnell, who's 78, mind you, it will no longer be the Senate majority leader. He will be the Senate minority leader, and I wouldn't be surprised that after either a term or two, he leaves politics altogether. I know the Republican Party may very well be tied to Trump, but he is himself in his 70s, and the oldest member of the legislature is Nancy Pelosi. She's 80, and she's leaving. So I think we're gonna see a real change. But I do wonder, who do you think will kind of be the next vanguard of the Republican Party? Will it be like a Ted Cruz, or maybe someone like Jim Jordan, or maybe even, God forbid, frickin' what the heck's his name, Matt Gaetz, because he seems to appeal to the braggadocious, incompetent brand of republicanism that seems to be going around these days. Um, or if you want, you can message me. You can tweet at me at Prague underscore American. That's PROG underscore American. That's my Twitter account. You can just send me a tweet and say, hey, here's what my thoughts, here's why, and I'll see if I can get to responding to you, and I appreciate that. Yeah, they're taking a while to get there. I mean, it's only a few minutes, but like, and I know the Capitol building's a bit big. I've seen the outside at least, but my lord, well, they're slow, so who knows? There's a lot of members that's 100 members of the Senate that they have to deal with, so. You can tell this is not something I anticipated would actually be a problem, because initially I wanted to look at the Georgia results, but so I may have to edit the title of this video. In fact, I think I will do that right now. We're not going to worry about that at the moment. The connection's still good? Yes, the connection is still good. So I'll just give you my thoughts on what the Republican Party will look like in the coming years. Knowing how they don't seem to do all that well anymore with just purely focusing on white voters, I think they're going to try, or if they're smart, which I thought in 2013 that they would start doing this, but they didn't. They doubled down with their white, angry rural base. I think what they're going to see is they're going to need to expand. And one of the things I think they're going to do is they're going to hold on to that Turning Point USA energy, where they're going to start saying things like, did you know the Democratic Party was the party of the Confederacy, and things like that, at least to try and undermine the black vote. But I don't think they're going to have all that much success. One of the things that I've always kind of noticed, at least about black voters in general, they know they're not ones to really fall for BS, but they're also not like partisan hacks. They're pretty consistently familiar with political nonsense and have been able to maintain themselves pretty well. One of the most active voting blocks in America, and a growing one too. So that's the thing. I was surprised how much Trump managed to get the Latino vote, though. So that might, the Republicans might try to lean on that, but we'll see. Who knows, honestly, because after this, the Republicans are going to have to reform, honestly. Good thing is, though, with these two elections in Georgia, is that we won't have to worry too much about losing one of them, because having to defend both within 2 years. Because Warnock was a special election because Loeffler did not get was an appointed person, whereas Perdue was actually running for re-election. So we're gonna have Ossoff in for the next 6 years, so he should be safe for a bit, unless he does something incredibly stupid and gets removed from office or something. But I don't think that's going to happen. But we need to really worry about Warnock, just just because whatever new Republican Party comes back to try and retake the Senate is going to be freaking crazy. I'm pretty sure Trump's already going crazy. In fact, let me check what he's saying, because some of these people worship the ground he stands on. Yeah, they have not updated the results for. Yeah, Mike Pence just said he does not have unilateral authority to reject the Georgia results, the results. Yeah, so it's still going. What's taking so long for them to get there? I wonder if my connection's being bad and I just don't notice. See, this is what happens when you're not really show. Yeah, okay, so I'm not actually having a problem. It's just they're taking a while. My lord. But yeah, so let's just see what Trump was saying. That's what I meant to say. I wish I could show you on the stream, but I don't have a good connection, so I am not going to do that. Oh, 2 hours ago he tweeted, quote, "These scoundrels are only toying with the at Senate David Perdue." I don't know why he put the in there. He could have just said Senator David Perdue. In parentheses, a great guy. Oh, the Senate David Perdue vote didn't just want to announce quite yet. They've got as many ballots as are necessary. Rigged election. See, this is the thing that I was talking about yesterday. But I wonder how much of this vote, this failure of the Republican Party to galvanize its base, is Trump's fault. And I'm sure he's going to get the blame. I mean, like, the Republican leadership, if they're ever going to recapture their base from Trump's support, like from Trump, they're going to have to hound it in that his statements in this election destroy the Republicans' chances of controlling the Senate. And I think that's what they'll do. They're very good. Fox News is already distancing itself from Trump's idiocy. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, but my lord. Also, just a heads up, this will not be my consistent background for the next couple months. It's on and off because I'm going back and forth between college and staying here during COVID. But I will be on Saturday. I will be back at my apartment in Dubuque. So you will see a very different background. You will not have to see my ugly room with an ugly mess. And by then you will not have to see this mic right in my face like this. I will have an arm stand for you guys to all take a look at, and it'll be a lot more clean. But I don't know quite how they'd measure whether or not Trump's statements about the electorate and the election in general affected the results. Because, like, even if someone says, like, "Oh, I don't believe that this election is safe," that doesn't necessarily mean that they're Republican. I mean, it's in all likelihood it is true, but like with pollsters, you got to be careful because you don't want to make assumptions based off your preconceptions of what is. Although some preconceptions are correct, it's just you got to be careful about them. My lord, it takes them a while to get into the U.S. House. I will say, I got to give Rico credit. He was right about this. I thought that what we were going to have is at least one senator win, like Warnock. I thought Warnock was going to win, and it would be very, very close for Ossoff. And we weren't going to have a major problem or anything. Hey, Rugged Midwesterner. How you doing, Ron? So we got someone in the chat. So, but I thought that Warnock was gonna win, and then we were going to have like to defend him in 2 years, and then we would have to try again to get Purdue out of the way. But it seems like without a lot of support for the incumbents, it looked like we were just seeing like them not being able to support themselves, and that's just going to be something that we really need to consider. Hey Ron, you'll never guess what happened. I have no Wi-Fi right now. I'm streaming this through my phone. Like, I'm doing it through my computer, but my phone is currently the only thing keeping me online for the last 46 minutes. It's a good phone apparently because it's still working and the connection is doing very well. But I'm slightly less morose than usual, trying to follow the news. Yeah, same. I went to bed last night and I watched this and it was just like, oh Lord, this is gonna be close. And then I saw that cop. I have no idea what happened with my Wi-Fi, Ron. I just woke up at around 10 this morning because I knew I had a stream at 11:30, and it's gone. Like, there is no Wi-Fi. I have an Ethernet cable attached right now. Nothing. So the whole house has no Wi-Fi whatsoever, and it wouldn't be such of a big deal if it were not for the fact that I have this stream because I don't use the Wi-Fi for my phone for the most part. But I can't show like the New York Times live updates on the election right now, so I'm literally reading it off to them from my phone. Yeah. And yesterday I had a whole stream get deleted because the audio did not go through for an hour and 16 minutes. So, and it was entirely my fault too because I didn't add myself in the stream. But you can hear me now, so that's a good thing. So how do you feel about Asif's chances, Ron? I have a feeling that we're going to have control over the Senate for a while. I was just talking about it a minute ago, but yeah, it was a bit disappointing with the stream. I'll just put up whatever, but what they're saying, what he was saying. So yeah, this is rugged Midwesterner. He's a friend of the show and a friend on Twitter as well. But no, it was disappointing because I had a very good conversation with Rico and Jody of Imperial News, and it went all out, gone. Like the first audio that you could see in the stream was just Rico on his phone like this, and you hearing cats in the background. That was the first piece of audio everybody said, and it was like for an hour and 16 minutes, I was just flipping back and forth through articles. So I just said this earlier on the stream yesterday, but really we're gonna need to heavily invest in Georgia for the next coming years. I'm just glad that Warnock is not the only one who won. Yeah, the far right's more of an energizing force than an organizing one. I would agree with that statement. I'd also point out that their conspiracism tends to backfire on them significantly. Like, you have people like Nick Fuentes who will fight anyone and everyone on his side and engage in like the most haphazard, impulsive behavior that I have ever seen, especially like when he confronted Ben Shapiro. So I mean, the far right's just a reckless mistake to kowtow to. It's a good source of energy, but when you actually want to focus that energy on getting anything done, they're terrible. They'll unless the Republicans can find a way to organize the far right into something like that is tangible in its like structure, they will not win the anything. So yeah, I agree with you on that one. Is it okay if I call you Ron or Rugged, whatever you like on the stream? I don't mind. Yeah, that's exactly it. I mentioned earlier the Southern strategy was a big thing for them, and it's one of the reasons they were able to take the South for so long and to maintain it for the next 10 years after the fact, was just to keep people from voting, either by making them uncomfortable with the candidate that they wanted to support through consistent negative ads, or just making it impossible to vote, like giving you 6 miles away, or put your DMV 6 miles away from your home, and you might not even have a car. Like that's just it. Like if you don't have a car, if you're poor in Georgia and you okay, so I'll call you Ron. The channel in question is Rugged Midwesterner, if anybody would like to check it out after the fact. But no, I agree. It's just that for the last couple years, they've been very good about this. I mean, you remember them always closing DMVs and polling locations at the last minute. Brian Kemp, like, was quite literally the master of nonsensical, unacceptable, and just cruel voter suppression at the last minute. I mean, this was a guy who was running for governor, and he had direct control over the rules of the election in which he ran. Like, that's crazy. He was running and controlled the rules in that same election. I bet he's ripping his hair out after this, though. Although I do think it's kind of funny that the guy who quite literally secured the Republicans' chances in Georgia by voter suppression is now one of Trump's many enemies in Georgia. Did you see what Trump posted on Twitter this morning, Ron? Let's see. He posted earlier this morning saying, quote, "These scoundrels are only toying with the Purdue vote. Just didn't want to announce quite yet. They've got as many ballots as are necessary. Rigged election." Yep. Yeah, that's that. I have a feeling that Trump's just going to be on the periphery of things if he doesn't go to jail, which is a possibility. That will just keep galvanizing the far right, but they'll never be able to like organize. Their entire thing is like you said, their entire purpose is to keep people from organizing on the left. The far right's primarily just concerned with hating the left. Like at the rally that they're doing right now, they've been chanting "fuck Antifa" for like a good portion of the early rally. Like that was the thing they were chanting. They weren't there for Trump. They were there. Yeah, they did say his claim was fact checked. Ron, they checked it. He's honestly, I cannot wait before like we see whether or not Twitter actually has the guts to ban him. Because after that point, he's just a private citizen on a platform that isn't his, and saying all kinds of horrible stuff about people. But no, it's just, I think what we're going to see for a long while is Republicans are going to have to find a new strategy, because the far right, they can't organize around them because they're crazy, and they're mostly there to depress turnout for left-wing people. And then they're going to have to figure out what person they're going to have to put forward from the right of center for in the future, because the current leader guy is not going anywhere. Mitch McConnell's done. Let's actually see if they've updated the results in Georgia. It has not changed much. Yeah, they updated it like 18 minutes ago. I will say that it's pretty impressive to see the work of like grassroots organizers actually coming to fruition in a traditionally Republican state twice in a row. No, and I don't mean like twice in a row as in twice in the Senate election. I mean twice, the presidential election and the Senate race. Because I know Purdue has not conceded and Loeffler has not conceded, but it looks like they're not going to have much of a choice. Oh yeah, Mike Pence. Of course, Mike Pence. Here, I'll just put up. Of course, Mike Pence washed his hands of all of this. I mean, the guy is a coward. I mean, he'll make his appeals to God, make his statements about like, I love my Bible, but the man himself just is a terrible coward. He's been. This is a guy on the evangelical right who when questioned about whether or not it was legal to discriminate against gay people in Indiana, he demurred. He ignored the whole thing and just engaged in euphemisms for a good 5 minutes. So, I mean, I am not surprised that he just pulled a Pontius Pilate and was like, wash his hands of it all. No, he's a regular Pontius Pilate. I suppose it's a he wants to be Peter, but he's just Pontius Pilate. Are you serious? They just breached the Capitol building? Where are you getting this, Ron? No fucking way. Please tell me you're pulling my leg, Ron, because if they just breached the Capitol building... Oh my god, Rebecca Tan, yeah, from... Yep, Metro reporter for the Washington Post. I don't know if you can hear this. I can't pull up much on my Twitter right now, Ron. Okay, so whatever happens with this, oh my god. So they're breaching the barricades right outside the Jesus Christ. So okay, so this is just for those of you who cannot see what Ron posted because I'm not sharing it in the comments right now. Apparently, Trump supporters outside the Capitol building have attempted to breach the barricades where the Senate and the House are trying to certify the results for President-elect Joe Biden, which means that I think it's safe to say that this is fascistic in nature because they're trying to force their way into the proceedings, which are mandated by the Constitution, by the way. So I think we can safely say that the people who continue to support this are, to some extent, guilty of sedition. And I will not hold back on that, even if somebody comes after me for that. This is absolutely unacceptable. Let me copy this. Could you send it in private chat, Ron? That's crap. No, that's not. Here, I'll try and copy this. It will not allow that. So I'm just going to type this up. HTTPS. Twitter.com/Elijah. Yeah, why don't you just send it to me through Twitter? I think if I can access my DMs, I should be good. Although it's very possible that I can't access it because I'm streaming through a potato at the moment. But no, so I'll just update people as I can. I was not expecting this to be about fascism today, but yeah, we have. Oh, my Twitter just loaded. There we go. I'm just waiting for my demon. There we go. Thank you, Ron. So I'm going to switch the results at the moment. I'm going to switch screen share, and I'm going to show you guys what's happening right now in front of the U.S. Capitol building because it is not good. So this is from Elijah Schaefer on Twitter. Oh, Jesus. All right, I'm just going to say this right now. Anybody who is defending this open hostility against the U.S. Constitution of the United States has no right to call themselves a patriot anymore. I don't want to hear another thing from members of the Republican Party who promoted this. who said, let's march on January 6th. It'll be fine. We'll have the Proud Boys, and this will work out perfectly. Absolutely no. Unacceptable. I'm finding more footage because, of course, I'm surprised the Blaze is actually showing what they're doing. Oh my God. Yeah. And even Eliza Schaefer, because since he's from the Blaze, he's calling them patriots have stormed the Capitol building around the Capitol building grounds and are breaching federal barriers and police in the masses. No self-serve. Okay, whatever. Like yeah. Please find a full thread for me. Thank you very much, Ron. No, this like even in the way he's covering this, like I get and to Elijah's credit, he's saying like they're storming the building. This is unlawful assembly, but you're still calling them patriots. There is nothing patriotic about somebody like storming the Capitol building during the exercise of constitutional certification of a presidential election. One of the most active presidential elections in recent American history, for God's sake. I mean, it's too early for this. Like, it's too early for fascism. I can't believe that's what I have to say at this point. No, like, you cannot say you love the Constitution and then only apply something like an election system, apply acceptance of this.
The Senate will come to order.
Oh, they're calling the order. So while this is happening, they are calling the Senate to order.
Pursuant to S-Con Res.
So it looks like they're still going anyway.
17 of Title III United States Code. When the two houses withdraw from the joint session to count the electoral vote for separate consideration of an objection, a senator may speak to the objection for 5 minutes and not more than once. Debate shall not exceed 2 hours, after which the chair will put the question, shall the objection be sustained? The clerk will report the objection made in the joint session.
Objection from Representative Gozar from Arizona and Senator Cruz and others. We, a member of the House of Representatives and a United States Senator, object to the counting of the electoral votes of the state of Arizona on the grounds that they were not, under all of the known circumstances, regularly given.
Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent the Majority Leader and the Democratic Leader be allowed to speak, and that following their remarks, the Majority Leader and the Democratic Leader each control up to 1 hour of debate time and be authorized to yield up to 5 minutes of that time to any senator seeking recognition. Further, I ask unanimous consent that the senators be permitted to insert statements into the record.
Is there objection? Without objection, so ordered.
Mr. President,
Majority Leader.
we're debating a step that has never been taken in American history. Whether Congress should overrule the voters and overturn the presidential election. I've served 36 years in the Senate.
Me too, man.
This is the most important vote I've ever
I agree.
cast. President Trump claims the election was stolen. The assertions range from specific local allegations to constitutional arguments to sweeping conspiracy theories.
Wow, he just repudiated Trump on a national platform.
The president's right to use the legal system.
Trump's done. It's over.
Lawsuits, received hearings in courtrooms all across our country. But over and over, the courts rejected these claims, including all-star judges whom the president himself has nominated.
That's a full-on repudiation of Trump's claims from the Majority Leader of the Republican Senate.
Illegality and irregularity, and of course, that's unacceptable.
I just don't hope. I hope they don't hurt like the people inside, though.
Last year's bizarre pandemic procedures must not become the new norm. But my colleagues, nothing before us proves illegality anywhere near massive scale. Massive scale. It would have tipped the entire election. Nor can public doubt alone justify a radical break when the doubt itself was incited without any evidence. The Constitution gives us here in Congress a limited role. We cannot simply declare ourselves a national board of elections on steroids. The voters, the courts, and the states have all spoken. They've all spoken. If we overrule them, it would damage our republic forever. This election actually was not unusually close.
They finally said it.
Just in recent history, 1976, 2000, and 2004 were all closer than this one. The electoral college margin is almost identical to what it was in 2016. This election were overturned by mere allegations from the losing side, our democracy would enter a death spiral. We'd never.
What just happened? Oh
We'd
no.
never see the whole nation accept an election again. Every 4 years would be a scramble for power at any cost. Electoral college. Most of us on this side have been defending for years, would cease to exist, leaving many of our states with no real say at all in choosing a president. The effects would go even beyond the elections themselves. Self-government, my colleagues, requires a shared commitment to the truth and a shared respect for the ground rules of our system. We cannot keep drifting apart into two separate tribes with a separate set of facts and separate realities. Nothing in common except our hostility towards each other and mistrust for the few national institutions that we all still share.
Okay, that's a bit rich coming from him because he has engaged in numerous misdeeds here.
In the last 30 years, the Democrats have lost the presidential race. They've tried to challenge just like this. After 2000, after 2004, after 2016. After 2004, a senator joined and forced the same debate. And believe it or not, Democrats like Harry Reid, Dick Durbin, and Hillary Clinton praised them and applauded the stunt. Republicans condemned those faceless efforts back then. And we just spent 4 years condemning Democrats' shameful attacks on the validity of President Trump's own election.
We didn't question whether or not he won. We questioned whether or not he won through unlawful means. And Hillary conceded the next day.
The media that is outraged today spent 4 years aiding and abetting Democrats' attacks on our institutions after they lost. But we must not imitate and escalate what we repudiate. Our duty is to govern for the public good. The United States Senate has a higher calling than an endless spiral of partisan vengeance. Congress will either override the voters, overrule them, the voters, the states, and the courts for the first time ever, or honor the people's decision.
I'm not surprised he obfuscated about like 2000.
Efforts after 2016 become a permanent new routine for both sides.
He's right about that, though.
Or declare that our nation deserves a lot better than this. We'll either hasten down a poisonous path where only the winners of election actually accept the results, or show we can still muster the patriotic courage that our forebears showed not only in victory but in defeat. Framers built the Senate to stop short-term passions from boiling over and melting the foundations of our republic. So I believe protecting our constitutional order requires respecting the limits of our own power. It would be unfair and wrong to disenfranchise American voters and overrule the courts and the states on this extraordinarily thin basis.
I'd also remind you guys that these guys have benefited from decades of voter suppression and intimidation. Disenfranchisement is his main thing, so he's saying the right thing in conclusion, but his reasons are lies. He doesn't believe any of what's coming out of his mouth right now. He just knows they can't win.
As we know it.
Big leader. Mr. President, Vice President, as prescribed by the Constitution and the laws of the nation, the purpose of this joint session is for tellers, appointed on a bipartisan basis by the two houses, to read to the Congress the results of an election that has already happened. We are here to receive an announcement of a vote that has already been certified by every state in the Union and confirmed by the courts many times over. We're here to watch the current vice president open envelopes and receive the news of a verdict that has already been rendered.
That's exactly the issue here.
It's a solemn and august occasion.
The fact that this is more than ceremony right now is an indictment on our country right now, I will say.
The Congress does not determine the outcome of elections, the people do. The Congress is not endowed with the power to administer elections. Our states are given that power. By the end of the proceedings today,
We could just have a popular vote, though.
once again, something that is well known and well settled. The American people elected Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to be the next president and vice president of the United States. And yet, a number of our colleagues have organized an effort to undermine and object to that free and fair election. They're in the minority. They will lose. They know that. They have no evidence of widespread voter fraud upon which to base their objections. That's because there is none. There is none.
He is mad as hell. My
Not
God.
before any of the courts successfully. They know that President Trump and his allies have suffered a defeat in court after court across the country, losing no fewer than 62 legal challenges. And I might add, many Republican-appointed judges, some appointed by President Trump, rendered those decisions. They know, you all know, that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are going to be sworn in as President and Vice President of the United States on January 20th.
along with John Ossoff
But
and
they are
Raphael
going to
Warnock.
object to the counting of the vote anyway. And in the process, they will embarrass themselves.
I wonder who's he staring
Their
down.
party. Worst of all,
Quick.
they will embarrass their country. This insurrection was fortunately discouraged by the leadership of the majority party, but it was not quelled. It is a very sad comment on our times that merely accepting the results of an election is considered an act of political courage. Sadder and more dangerous still is the fact that an element of the Republican Party believes their political viability hinges on the endorsement of an attempted coup. That anyone, much less an elected official, would be willing to tarnish our democracy in order to burnish their personal political fortunes. Over the course of the afternoon, and however far into the evening this band of Republican objectors wants to take us, senators of goodwill from both sides of the aisle will explain why these challenges must be dismissed. The senators from states whose electoral votes are being challenged will explain how the allegations of fraud are baseless. And a substantial bipartisan majority must vote to put down these objections and defend the sanctity of our elections and indeed, our great and grand democracy. Because that's what we're talking about today. The health of our democracy. This wonderful, beautiful, grand democracy, where the peaceful passing of the torch is extolled by school children in the second grade, but not by some here.
I'm no Schumer fan, but this is an impressive speech, and he's absolutely right about all of this. This is like I feel his rage right now because
As we speak,
I'll let him say it. But
half of our voters are being conditioned by the outgoing president to believe that when his party loses an election, the results must not be legitimate. As we speak, the eyes of the world are on this chamber, questioning whether America is still the shining example of democracy, the shining city on the hill. What message we send today? What message will we send today? To our people, to the world that has so looked up to us for centuries. What message will we send to fledgling democracies who study our Constitution, mirror our laws and traditions, in the hopes that they too can build a country ruled by the consent of the governed? What message will we send to those countries where democratic values are under assault and look to us to see if those values are still worth fighting for? What message will we send to every dark corner of the world where human rights are betrayed, elections are stolen, human dignity denied? What will we show those people? Will we show those people that there's a better way to ensure liberty and opportunity of humankind? Sadly, a small band of Republican objectors may darken the view of our democracy today, but a larger group of senators and House members from both sides of the aisle can send a message too. That democracy beats deep in the hearts of our citizens and our elected representatives. That we are a country of laws and of not men. That our traditions are not so easily discarded, even by our president. That facts matter. That truth matters. That while democracy allows free speech and free expression, even if that expression is anti-democratic, there will always be, praise God, a far broader and stronger coalition ready to push back and defend everything we hold dear. We can send that message today by voting in large and overwhelming numbers to defeat these objections. My colleagues, we each swore an oath just 3 days ago that we would defend and support the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that we would bear true faith and allegiance to the same. We swore that we took this obligation freely, without any mental reservation,
Hello, Darby.
purpose of evasion, and that we could well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office we were about to enter, so help us God.
Thank you for joining, Darby.
The precise words of that oath were shortly written after the Civil War, when the idea of true faith and allegiance to this country and its Constitution took on enormous meaning. Let those words ring in the ears of every senator today. Let us do our duty to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. So help us God.
So that's a very well-spoken speech by the Senate Minority Leader,
Yield up to 5 minutes to the senator from
Chuck
Texas, Senator Cruz.
Schumer. That was a very passionate display of democratic fervor, and that's what patriotism should look like.
We gathered together at a moment of great tradition
And a snake before us.
and a moment of great passion. We have seen, and no doubt will continue to see, a great deal of moralizing from both sides of the aisle. But I would urge to both sides perhaps a bit less certitude and a bit more recognition that we are gathered at a time when democracy is in crisis.
Because of you.
Recent polling shows that 39% of Americans believe the election that just occurred, quote, was rigged. You may not agree with that assessment.
The reason for the assessment is because their leaders in their party stated it.
I would note it is not just Republicans who believe that. 31% of independents agree with that statement. 17% of Democrats believe the election was rigged. Even if you do not share that conviction, it is the responsibility, I believe, of this office to acknowledge that is a profound threat to this country and to the legitimacy of any administrations that will come in the future. I want to take a moment to speak to my Democratic colleagues. I understand your guy is winning right now. If Democrats vote as a bloc, Joe Biden will almost certainly be certified as the next president of the United States. I want to speak to the Republicans who are considering voting against these objections. I understand your concerns, but I urge you to pause and think. What does it say to the nearly half the country that believes this election was rigged if we vote not even to consider the claims of illegality and fraud in this election?
It says that our country actually takes facts seriously and doesn't take bandwagons supporting it.
The election. Let me be clear. I am not arguing for setting aside the result of this election.
Then what's the point of the objection?
All of us are faced with two choices, both of which are lousy. One choice is vote against the objection. And tens of millions of Americans will see a vote against the objection as a statement that voter fraud doesn't matter, isn't real, and shouldn't be taken seriously.
It's not as significant as you have made it out to be, Senator Cruz.
On the other hand, most, if not all of us, believe we should not set aside the results of an election just because our candidate may not have prevailed. And so I endeavor to look for door number 3, a third option. And for that, I look to history, to the precedent of the 1876 election, the Hayes-Tilden election, where this Congress appointed an electoral commission to examine claims of voter fraud. 5 House members, 5 senators, 5 Supreme Court justices examined the evidence and rendered a judgment. And what I would urge of this body is that we do the same. That we appoint an electoral commission to conduct a 10-day emergency audit, consider the evidence.
Okay, that's absolutely a terrible idea. That would mean we would have to wait. Here, I'm gonna let him.
No evidence, they've been rejected, then you should rest in comfort. If that's the case, an electoral commission would reject those claims. But for those who respect the voters, simply telling the voters, go jump in a lake, the fact that you have deep concerns is of no moment to us. That jeopardizes, I believe, the legitimacy of this and subsequent elections. The Constitution gives to Congress the responsibility this day to count the votes. The framers knew what they were doing when they gave responsibilities to Congress. We have a responsibility. I would urge that we follow the precedent of 1877.
You mean the one that ended
Electoral Count Act
Reconstruction?
explicitly allows objections such as this one for votes that were not regularly given. And let me be clear, this objection is for the state of Arizona, but it is broader than that. It is an objection for all 6 of the contested states to have a credible, objective, impartial body hear the evidence and make a conclusive determination. That would benefit both sides. That would improve legitimacy of this election. And so let me urge my colleagues,
I'm leaving that comment
all
up.
of us take our responsibility seriously. I would urge my colleagues, don't take perhaps the easy path.
And you're correct, around
Instead,
1/5 of the
act
country voted for
together,
Trump, not half.
astonish
So
the viewers and act in a bipartisan sense to say we will have a credible and fair tribunal, consider the claims, consider the facts, consider the evidence, and make a conclusive determination whether and to what extent this election complied with the Constitution and with federal law.
okay, I'm just going to say this right now. The idea that we would wait 10 days to certify the election means that it gives them more time to spread conspiracies and all sorts of problems.
Mr. President,
It's a waste of
I
time.
would like to say I appreciate the words of our leader, Senator Schumer, as well as Senator McConnell's call for a higher call.
Amy Klobuchar.
January 6th is not typically a day of historical significance for our country. For centuries, this day is simply the day that we receive each state's certified electoral votes, and it has come and gone without much fanfare. In fact, this is only the 3rd time in 120 years that the Senate has gathered to debate an objection, and as Senator Cruz well knows, both times these objections were resoundingly defeated. The last time, 74-1. Why? Because senators have long believed that they should not mess around with the will of the people. They have understood the words of our great former colleague John McCain from the state of Arizona, who once said that nothing in life is more liberating than to fight for a cause larger than yourself. In this case, my colleague, our cause, despite our political differences, is to preserve our American democracy, to preserve our republic, because as someone once said long ago, it's a republic if you can keep it. Now, I appreciate all my Democratic and Republican colleagues who have joined our ranks of coup fighters, who have stood up for our democracy, who stand tall for our republic, and who believe in an ideal greater than ourselves, larger than our political parties. That ideal is America. And Senator Cruz, he knows this. On January 20th, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will be sworn in as President and Vice President of the United States. He knows that President-elect Biden won more votes than any president in history and more than 7 million more votes than President Trump. Despite the unfounded conspiracy theories Senator Cruz touts, he knows that high-ranking officials in President Trump's own Homeland Security Department have concluded that the 2020 election was, quote, the most secure in American history. And if he wants to improve the numbers in his own party that he just mentioned of people believing in our elections, maybe he should start consulting with them. Or maybe he should start consulting with former Attorney General Barr, who said that he has found no evidence of widespread fraud in the 2020 election. We don't have to go back to 1877, my colleague. Senator Cruz knows that 80 judges, including conservative judges, including judges confirmed in this chamber, nominated by President Trump, has thrown out these lawsuits, calling them baseless, inadequate, and contrary both to the plain meaning of the constitutional text and common sense. And he knows that all 10 living defense secretaries, including both of Trump's defense secretaries, Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld, William Cohen, he knows that all these leaders have come together to say that these scurrilous attacks on our democracy must stop and we must allow a peaceful transition of power. Senator Sinema will fill you in on these specific facts as to why this election was sound and true in Arizona.
I'm going to take a break from this section. I'm going to move and take a look at what's happening outside because after her speech, I'll switch to this stream that someone else is doing at the moment.
143 votes, meaning that he won the state by 10,457 votes. On November 30th, after Arizona's Republican governor, the Secretary of State, the Attorney General, and the conservative Chief Justice of the Arizona Supreme Court certified the results of the election, the governor actually said, elections well here in Arizona, the system is strong. 8 post-election lawsuits brought in Arizona to challenge the results were dismissed by judges. 9 members of the House from Arizona were elected in the same election, including 4 Republicans. And colleagues, I did not see Senator Cruz over at their swearing in the House of Representatives last Sunday asking for an audit. He did not stop their swearing in because there was no fraud. And he did not ask for an audit because we had a fair election. I will end with this. My friend Roy Blunt, my fellow Rules Committee leader, many years ago found a statue, a bust of a man at the top of a bookcase. He did research. He went to the historians, and all he could find out was that no one knew who this guy was, except that he was a cleric. Hence, the statue is called the Unknown Cleric. Now, at the time, our leaders thought this man important enough that they would warrant a statue for him. But today, no one knows who he is. Senator Blunt's message to school kids and senators alike that visit his office when he shows them the statue: what we do here is more important than who we are. Senators, what matters is not our futures, not our own short-term destinies. What matters is our democracy's destiny. Because I think many of us know that people will not know who we are 100 years from now or 200 years from now. But what they will know is this. They will know what we did today, how we voted today, and that is more important than who we are. It's a republic if we can keep it. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.
Well said. So I'm going to switch.
Majority Leader.
I yield up to 5 minutes to the senator from Pennsylvania, Senator Tilley.
Senator from Pennsylvania.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I intend later to address the specifics of Pennsylvania if and when.
I'm going to switch over right now to what's happening outside the U.S. Capitol building. There are people actually to storm the building, and they're being forced off. So I'm going to switch real quick just to check that out and see what's happening. Because the proceedings inside are going to be like 2 hours. So the indoor stuff, not so much. So I'm going to take a look at Jordan's stream and pick it up right here. Breaking Trump supporters. Okay, here we go. If the connection can work. If not, if it doesn't work, I'll just head back in. Here, I'm gonna mute this real quick. So I'm having a little technical difficulties, but for those of you who cannot see what's happening, they're right outside. So you can see to the left that the building, they're facing directly towards the Capitol building. This stone wall right here, that is the Capitol building being protected by soldiers. So we are witnessing open violence earlier in the day when they tried to storm it, and they're basically demanding entry. The stream quality is a little iffy. I'm pretty sure this is an unlawful assembly right now. So it sounds like they're giving an order to remove the people to disperse, but I'm not entirely sure. And I'm having some trouble with this person's stream, so I am not. So I will repost it on Twitter. Yeah, I agree, Ron. This is open lunacy. But I will repost this person's stream. I will share it on Twitter at Prague_American, and you can find them there. On their username is Jordan Sheraton, so you can find it there. So this is what's happening live in our country right now. We have on the inside members of the Senate and the House of the Republican Party who are openly trying to overturn the will of the people, and on the outside you have fascistic supporters who earlier tried to storm the Capitol building. So you can just find that on my Twitter. I'm gonna go back. They're in the building, Ron. Am I a little behind on the thing? Oh, please tell me they're not in the fucking building. Ugh. They're in the building, you're saying? Okay, so I suspect some of them were in the building at some point or what not, but I am not sure. I'm having difficulty with the stream. So, oh, it's finally working. The stream is down? Okay. So so they're in the building. You're telling me they're in the building, Ron? Oh my lord. Okay, I'm just gonna go see what's happening in the Senate right now. Because and now I just lost that. Oh nope, it's back.
States given to challenge the findings. Why are the objectors objecting only to swing states that President Trump lost? What about the ones he won? I don't know, North Carolina. What about California? They have ballot harvesting on.
So I'm just gonna real quick to talk about this for a moment. We have the people were in the scaffolding and were pushed out. Okay, so he's talking about at the moment like how why are they only objecting to the states that Trump lost, that they traditionally thought they would win, but right now that's not important. We already know this. The fact that we have members of our country right now who tried to storm the U.S. Capitol building, attack officers defending our elected leaders, is signs that not only do we have a problem with the way we conduct ourselves in democracy, but we actively have a fascistic element in our society. I said this on Rico's, and I was on Rico's stream a couple days ago, and I said it in the deleted stream that I had last night, but we really have a problem with fascism in this country. We have people who are quite literally willing to storm the federal legislature of the United States to overturn an election that they have no chance of winning. I'm at a loss for words. I knew that there was going to be some craziness and the Proud Boys would be outside, but I thought if they had like the Enrico and what was his name, Tario, the guy who was in lead the Proud Boys, I thought if they got rid of him for a bit, it would calm them down. No, these guys are literally fighting with police in this right outside the Capitol building, while some members of the United States legislature, in the Senate and in the House, are openly calling for an election to be overturned. I'm not going to say, oh, I want the election overturned, as you saw Cruz say, but they're trying to position themselves in a position that says we were just looking for answers, and that's going to cement in the eyes of a certain amount of people the idea that this election was rigged. That's what they're doing. They're saying, oh, all these people believe the election is rigged, so therefore we have to take it seriously, as if the burden of proof was on the U.S. government and the people themselves, the rest of the country, to prove that this election wasn't rigged, and not the people making the claim that it was rigged in the first place. All of the legislatures and all the governments of the states have certified the election, and yet because there's a cult of personality surrounding Donald Trump, we have members of our country, people who are self-proclaimed patriots, trying to storm the U.S. Capitol, pepper spraying and fighting with police. This is a sad day in America.
Faith in our democracy. The 2020 Arizona election was a success, not for any one party or individual, but as a demonstration of the will of the voters. A record 80% of registered voters participated, thanks to local Arizona election officials who ensured our system worked and our laws were upheld. Arizona has offered early voting for more than 100 years, and our vote by mail system includes strict safeguards. All ballots include tracking mechanisms and tamper-resistant envelopes. Election staff are trained to authenticate signatures, and Arizona imposes severe criminal punishments for ballot tampering. The Arizona election produced bipartisan results in which members of both parties won races, and these results have been confirmed by stakeholders across the political spectrum. A Republican chairman of the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors said, "No matter how you voted, this election was administered with integrity, transparency, and in accordance with Arizona state laws." The Republican Speaker of the Arizona State House rejected calls for the legislature to overturn the election, saying, "As a conservative Republican, I don't like the results of the presidential election, but I cannot and will not entertain a suggestion that we violate current law to change the outcome." 8 challenges contesting the Arizona election were brought to federal and state courts. All 8 were withdrawn or dismissed, including a unanimous ruling.
All right, I got to stop it again because there is just another statement. I will not be showing the exact tweet because it has some of the escape tunnel named locations. But the U.S. Capitol Police have just announced that they are in the Cannon House office building, to take visitors, escapes, and leave. They are evacuating buildings at the moment in the United States Capitol. That's how bad this is, ladies and gentlemen. And our country right now, just a full disclosure, I am 22 years old. I have never voted before in a presidential election. In 2016, I was too young. I voted my first time in the midterm election, and I have consistently voted Democrat since then. I voted for Joe Biden, obviously, during this election, even though I was a pro-Warren staffer during the primary. The fact that there are people currently storming and threatening public buildings of one of the most powerful democracies on earth right now to overturn votes, my voice as well as your voice, as well as the millions of Americans' voices across this country, is something I never thought I would have to see. Like, I don't know what to say. When I went to the stream, I thought, we wouldn't have an issue like this. I thought, okay, the main issue is going to be maybe a few fights, a stabbing, but they're storming the Capitol building. What else am I supposed to say? Like, what else am I supposed to say about what's happening right now? Like NBC News, Scott McFarlane, he's saying that the police are evacuating the Cannon building, the Cannon office building. The fact that members of both the House and the Senate evacuating their staff members right now is insane. While they're also giving this speech, mind you, I have to mute the context of this speech just to tell you all that there is a fight and there is a riot outside of the Capitol building, the area where the law of this country is made. Yeah. Just Chicago Sun-Times just reported it that the police are ordering evacuations of buildings. My God, we are witnessing an attempted forced overthrow of an election. I'll unmute this, but I'm back. I apologize for that. I had an issue Yep. Here you go. You can watch it again.
This meritless challenge. Uphold the will of Arizona voters. Thank you.
Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I yield up to 5 minutes to the senator from Oklahoma, Senator Langford.
Senator from Oklahoma.
Mr. President, in America, we settle our differences in elections. What happens if you don't trust the election count, or you're concerned that so many courts denied or dismissed cases within hours after they were given thousands of pages of evidence? The reason we have a Congress to settle our nation's divisions and the rules of the Senate make sure that every opinion in the nation is heard is so issues like this can be addressed. The constitutional crisis in our country right now is that millions of Americans are being told to sit down and shut up. Their opinions matter. During the electoral challenge on January the 6th, 2005, Senator Ted Kennedy stood on this floor and said this. He said, "I commend the many thousands of citizens in Massachusetts and other states who insisted on treating today's electoral vote count in Congress as a meaningless ritual would be an insult to our democracy unless we register our own protest against the obviously flawed voting process that took place in so many states. We are hopeful," he said, "that this major issue states before January the 20th.
I'm just going to get it to where it is live.
Member commission, just like what was done after the failed election of 1876.
Oh my God.
Pause the count. Get more facts to the states before January the 20th.
I'm a little behind because due to some issues with the stream. Ron, are they evacuating right now?
We're encouraging people to spend 10 days going through all the issues so states can have one last opportunity to address any challenges. Then the states, as the Constitution directs, would make the final decision on their electors. I have some colleagues who have said that a 10-day commission is not enough time. So they have counter-proposed, just ignoring the lingering questions. We need to do something. My challenge today is not about the good people of Arizona.
And it will stand in recess until the call of the chair.
Pause. Thank you.
So, holy shit. Okay, so I'm going to send an invite to Rico. I'm going to see what he knows about this at the moment. But it looks like the Senate has now just adjourned due to the rioters outside. They're evacuating. Oh, fuck. Okay. So I've just contacted Rico, who is also watching this. It looks like they're preparing an evacuation, but I cannot tell for certain. Like, the audio's cut out. It looks like they're having a bit of a panic. I am not sure what's happening. I am going to see what Rico's posted because he seems to be addressing that last stream. So let's see. But I'm going back to that old stream real quick. I apologize for the awkwardness of this, but I was not prepared for an attempted coup d'etat by members of our own country. Okay, Ron just sent me something. Representative Holly. Okay, so they're not evacuating. They're sheltering in their office. Representative Haley Stevens. So this is a little behind. So I'm going to switch the screen share real quick. I'll update you guys with what I know. But right now, I am receiving reports that Representative Haley Stevens is sheltering in her office. So it looks like Here, I'm just gonna check out the stream real quick. So right now we have, and I'm not even sure what to make of this whole affair, but Representative Haley Stevens is in her office and she is sheltering in place. I don't know about the other representatives, but I will do what I can to find out. Are there any words for any of this? Like, there's nothing I can say that makes this more calm or transparent or just like or peaceable. Like this is an attempt to overthrow a I don't ever want to hear again like about how Democrats are the violent ones, they care about rioting. Some of these Trump supporters are trying to overthrow an election through force. I'm going to get the live stream and see what's going on. Just give me a minute. And Ron, if you can send me some stuff, that would be greatly appreciated. It also looks like they're still having a minor panic on the Senate floor. Yeah, and the feed just went out in the Senate floor, by the way. Yeah, they just cut its note. Yeah, it's live right now, but I don't see anything in the live broadcast for this. Yeah, I would not put it past them to say that they're trying to overthrow the election. Also, I saw your tweet, Darby. Let's be real here. This is not about a protest. They were storming the building and trying to enter and were screaming about stopping the steal. These guys were not interested in watching the proceedings. They were intending to forcibly stop it. Yep, and now I'm getting messages from family members right now, just telling me that like, holy shit, they're storming the Capitol. So right now I can't get the freaking Jordan stream to work because my my phone's a potato. So I'm just gonna go back to the Senate and see how they're reacting. They're not doing much though. But let me just share what we got right now. It's still down on your end, Ron? Okay, so it's not just mine. Okay, so right now,
Extreme circumstances such as
I keep pressing skip ahead. I'm just trying to get to when it's live. Yeah, so from what I can ascertain, they are still, yep, and the AP News has just confirmed that they are on recess in order to wait until the crowd disperses. The stream that was showing the violence outside the Capitol building is they're waiting till it's dispersed. Yep. So yeah, I am going to try and take a quick break just because I'm going to wait until I see what's up. Ron, if you can send me anything you've got and found on Twitter, I'll be back in like 2 minutes and I'll be happy to take like any of the footage. I'll have to mute it because it's loud and I won't be able to talk over it, but we need to spread this crap everywhere. There is absolutely no excuse for ramming into security guards outside the United States Capitol building. It's one thing to have a problem. Like, I'm not someone who's like, oh, clutch the pearls about buildings. But the building in question is where our laws are made. You can watch the proceedings. You can literally listen to the proceedings. But the moment you try to disrupt them is just a whole nother thing. So Ron and everybody else who's watching, I will be back in about 2 minutes. I will join you again, but I just need to get something and calm down because this was not what I expected for my stream today. So thank you very much, Ron, for your help. I will be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am back. I'm going to see if I can find the AP news stream or any sort of live news streams. Capitol building live stream U.S. Capitol. Fucking shit. The Secret Service has removed. Okay, so, okay, I'll just show you guys what I just found. Where is it? Okay, Yahoo News. And this is what they've just said. Capitol building live, share. Nope, that's not what I wanted. You'll forgive my technological illiteracy at the moment. Updates, where is it? Live updates, there we go. So, yeah, so right now, they are counting results, but there are live updates. Apparently, I just saw it, I don't know where it went, but supposedly, yeah, Pence has been removed. Oh, okay. So Pence has been removed from the chamber. Secret Service has removed him. There is some sort of gas that has been set off in the Capitol building at the moment. So I will actually go to this person's Twitter real quick, and I'll show you that because they're live in the chamber at the moment. I'm just gonna. All right. So this is where I'm going to just say it. These people are, as close as I can possibly think of it as, Nazis. I don't use that term lightly, but I do believe many of these people are Nazis or totalitarians or whatever you want to say. They are open insurrectionists, and they are threatening members of the United States Senate and the House. They don't care about the political party identity anymore. They want Trump, and they will storm the Capitol, fight police to get him. Is this the country we want? Is this the nation we want? Is this our new politics? Is there such a wing within our country, a certain perspective that requires us as citizens of the United States to submit ourselves to figures like this, who believe themselves to be so entitled to power that they will literally storm a building that belongs to all of us, that they will threaten the representatives of our country, regardless of how you feel about many of those people? I have my own feelings about them. Regardless of how you feel about these people, the fact that they would openly threaten these people by storming the U.S. Capitol in an election certification that should be just a formality is downright atrocious. And when I woke up this morning, I thought, okay, we're just going to see some wild antics. And I know I've said it like 1,000 times today during this stream. And I am sorry for repeating myself over and over. I don't care if it's one person who hears me, 3 people who hear me, or 1 million. This is open fascism we are witnessing. And fucking hell. What? The Republican Party has got to get control of its base. There can be no mistaking what just happened today. We witnessed the culmination of Donald Trump's rhetoric and the Republicans' inability to hold him to account, and the avarice of people like Ted Cruz, who are using this in an attempt to eventually secure their connections to their base. That's what's happening right now. Ted Cruz and all those supporting this, they want a shot at the presidency. They're kowtowing to Trump's base, and Trump's base right now is full of rancid fascists. I don't know what percentage of them are rancid fascists, but enough of them are that they were able to storm the Capitol building and shoot off things in the Capitol building. So I'm just going to show you what is currently happening. Yeah, I'll just show you guys what's currently happening from one of the reporters. Yeah, here we go. So this is So these are just some of the pictures. So they have breached the Capitol building. These are just some of the pictures that you are seeing. Yeah. Fucking Christ. Yep. There's the protesters right there. There's the police. And then, yep, they're now moving in. The police are having to push them out. I've gotten another notification. Yeah, I'll let you on, Ron. Well, let me send you the invite, and you can tell me what's up because you've been following this a little closer than mine. And Trump just tweeted too. So he tweeted, quote, Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution, giving states a chance to certify a corrected set of facts, not the fraudulent or inaccurate ones which they were asked to previously certify. USA demands the truth. I'm sorry, but can Twitter just ban this guy already? I don't care if he's the president anymore. This man is openly threatening the election, and he's tweeting shit. Like, he is openly. There are people in Capitol building right now who were punching and had to be sprayed because they were being so violent with the police. And this is what's. Hello.
Hello.
Guest.
Oh my fuck. This is madness.
I did not expect this morning.
No one well, that's not true. There are people who are on the ground in DC who I was paying attention to on Twitter who have been saying that this was going to happen for weeks now. But fuck, it's you don't want to believe that this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a coup. Like, this is the definition of a coup. It's, at the very least, it is an attempted coup. There's no telling whether they are going to be successful, but they broke in to kill people.
I would not put it
past.
That is
what's going on.
Yep. And did you see Trump's stupid tweet?
I sent it to you.
Yeah. I wonder how long he's gonna just. I'm sorry, I'm just overwhelmed. First presidential election I voted in, and now there's a freaking coup over it. I wonder what they're gonna do in Georgia too.
I don't know. This is unprecedented in modern history.
Oh yeah, and then listen to this. Apparently, this is a politics reporter at the Washington Post, Igor Bobek. He posted. Looking. Yep. Yeah, some freaking gas. Something's been released in the chamber, and I don't know what it is. Jesus Christ.
I'll look it up. I have some experience with, let's say, chemical weapons.
Okay. I won't ask where you got that experience.
Oh no, I've protested police shit all.
Okay, yeah.
Police shit. It's since 2014.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never been anything quite as intense as that. I've accidentally missed a couple of street fights, including one in DC, but
yeah.
Just barely missed a street fight in DC.
Yeah, thankfully everybody will be safe, but yep, New York Times is just reporting that Pence has been evacuated from the Senate chamber.
What was the guy's name?
Igor. Yeah, here, Igor Bobek. Bobik. Let's see what else other updates he's giving. Yeah, this whole thing is just a freaking. They're flying a Confederate flag outside the Senate chamber.
Yeah, I see that.
So the usual suspects. What connection do I have at the moment?
So you were saying earlier that these are Nazis.
Something.
The distinction that I would make is that whether or not these people are Nazis, these are the tactics that Nazis literally use. They stormed government buildings and they pulled out and they beat officials who did not agree with them.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's what I was kind of saying. It was just more this is some Nazi shit that we're witnessing. And I apologize to any of the people who will eventually watch this after recording that I'm cursing. But you know what? I am witnessing a fucking coup for.
No one cares. No one
If-
cares about the cursing. If there was ever a time for it, it's this and the nuclear Armageddon.
Yeah. Like, what in the hell? Like, Jesus Christ. Are we so, like, no, not are we. Are they so damn crazy that they just won't try to change their party?
Are you
make-
talking about the Republican Party or the fascists outside of the building?
Well, what's the difference at this point? Several of the members of the Trump's still the party in chief at the moment. He's still the president, and he encouraged this, and yet a significant portion of his base believes everything he says. So, like,
Okay, so there's I'm gonna make a video about this eventually, probably sooner rather than later. But the thing that you have to understand, and it's something that I've only come to realize in the past few weeks, is that there is this mentality that a lot of regular people have, that they are exceptional and that other people are beneath them. And that has a lot of knock-on effects. Like, that's why union organizing is so difficult in the US, because people are like, why should I organize with other people? These people are beneath me. Trump is a personification of that very ideal. And these people at the Capitol, they believe that their elected officials are beneath them, that the other people who voted are beneath them. And that is what is enabling them to justify what they are doing.
Yep, that's exactly it. And the other thing is, and Rico just sent me another stream. Hold on, I'm just gonna.
Good God.
What now?
Rico has a good eye for things.
Oh yeah. All right, so I am. Holy shit, this is loud. Okay, hold on one sec. I'm gonna mute that, and then I'm going to move the stream. But my God. Okay, I'm gonna stop screen sharing real quick.
All right.
Like, is there anything else to say but my God?
Well, the thing that I would suggest is that we need to prepare for this to be happening in other parts of the country, especially in contested states, and we need to be prepared to push back against this later, because, like, this is not a movement that is going to go away.
No.
This is going to keep coming back, and we need to be prepared to push back against it.
Yeah, and credit to Seattle Protest Network right now, just for the chat, because I don't want to get in trouble, like, showing this off without, and then, like, saying I'm not using copyright, because I just don't have the stream. But no, like, this, they're literally trying to storm everything, and I'm gonna try and see if I can get the audio back, but I may have muted it. Yeah, that's okay. We don't need to hear what they're saying because they're screaming.
Yeah, Seattle Protest Network has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 streams running right now.
Yeah, and
the
that's
doors to the Capitol are open.
Yeah, like they're storming in. Look at that.
I am looking.
You know what I mean. Like, I'm just, holy shit.
This is someone in chat just mentioned that none of these people are wearing masks. Oh, that reminds me. I saw a few people on Twitter retweeting some of these fascist accounts saying that they were wanting the MAGA rally to become a super spreader event for the COVID. So
it's just, it's a mess. Like, this is what happens when
found something. I'm sending it to you.
Oh,
protesters have entered the Capitol. Like a video of protesters in the Capitol.
Okay. Oh boy. Okay, so we have video of them entering the Capitol. I will stop screen sharing that one and will be showing you guys the stream. Hold on. I will show you guys this in a moment. Yeah, I'm just gonna end the Senate stream because that's just not doing anything. Protesters have entered the Capitol. They are in it. They're coming up the stairs.
Yeah. No, these buildings are huge. Have you ever been in a state house?
I have not been able to get into the Capitol building for the Washington, D.C. I've been in my state house once or twice, but that was when I was very young.
You live in Illinois, right?
Yes, sir.
I've been in there too. It's a beautiful building. They don't let me in there anymore since I was in a sit-in. Yeah, I was with the people who did a sit-in in front of Bruce Rauner's office back in 2017.
And this is what it looks like outside right now. I mean, that's a pretty, like, there are so many people willing to actually do this. That's astounding.
Something else you have to understand too is that, like, this is people from, and I'm going to explain in a minute why I make this distinction. These are people from all over the country. And that's important because their numbers, they seem bigger than they really are.
Oh, yeah.
Like, okay. To explain this, I have to go through a little bit more of an esoteric thing. Here in the capital, I live in Springfield, Illinois. That's not private information. Like, I've been on the news a bunch of times. My name's Ronald Ham. Here in Springfield, back in June, I think it was, we had a rally. We had 2 rallies almost back to back. One of them was an anti-COVID rally. About 7,500 people showed up for that. And they were people from all over the state.
Yeah.
And a couple of people from other states. They were bussed in. It was a big fucking... It was AstroTurf, basically. 3 days later, there was a funeral procession for George Floyd in solidarity with the people in Minneapolis. 10,000 people from Springfield and the surrounding area, but mostly Springfield, showed up twice. Because there was a second procession that night.
And that's the thing that, like, I think people forget, and I honestly forgot because it's just insane. But, like, if you can organize around people, around anything, if you can organize enough people, they will be they'll be a force to be reckoned with. I mean, even if you're, like, technically in the minority, you can still be a massive security threat. Like, if you organize enough people from around the country, like, like, I will say it's a bit weird that, well, no, it's not weird. It's not surprising at all. It's fundamentally frustrating that these guys are not getting hit with, like, the full armored trucks and stuff, and, like, the treatment that BLM protesters got when they're really.
They say. Some of those who are enforcers are the same who burn crosses.
Yeah. It's just like, this is like they're climbing up the fucking. That's exactly it. It's because for so long Americans have been convinced, and members of our own law enforcement have been convinced, that it's from the so-called radical left, or whatever
Clash
you
is
want
inside
to
the
say.
Capitol. I'm sending you a video.
Oh boy. There's a fight in the Capitol now. Okay, BNO News. I'll follow their stream right now.
I wouldn't suggest it. I think that they're a far-right rag. These people do know... Oh, no, it's just breaking news. Okay, yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna fix this real quick. But no, like, I don't even know... I will tell you right now, this is not what I expected when I woke up this morning.
And again, no one expected this.
I'm just going to play this real quick, so...
I can hear it.
You gotta admit, it's a bit terrifying that so many people see themselves as the USA, but separate everybody else who, like, votes against them from that equation.
It's not a new phenomenon.
No, it
think
isn't.
back to what's her name? The woman from Alaska. That might be before your time.
Sarah Palin.
Sarah Palin and her quote about who the real Americans are.
Yep. And that's where I was. That's one of the reasons I said the Republicans were getting worse and worse a while back, where like they've been so convinced that the real Americans are like a threat to this and that, and it's just once you start sectioning off people as not real Americans, you can justify just about anything.
Some of these live streams are from inside the Capitol now.
You're kidding.
No, 2 of them are. I can see them.
Yep, it's 2 of them are, and then is this from the BNO one that you said?
No, the Seattle Protest Network. I'm looking at it now. I'm going back and forth between 4 different things. I apologize.
Oh, thank you.
To...
It's just switching back and forth between these.
This isn't my first time covering something like this. I was up for like 3 days straight covering and retweeting shit from the George Floyd protests. I'm not going to be able to. I have to let you know that my computer isn't working properly. So if I suddenly cut out, it's because my computer has stopped working, and it'll only work for like 3 hours at a time at most.
I think my stream is collapsing because my browsers are not responding at the moment.
Well, shit.
Yeah, if push comes to shove, I'll bring the stream back on if it doesn't work. But I'm gonna see if I can recover the stream.
No, the stream is fine on my end.
I can hear you, and I think it's going good. I just can't. I can't show anything right now. Like none of my things are working. It says I'm connected. Let me check my Wi-Fi real quick.
Yeah, I can see the stream on my end. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you can see it, but I can't see anything. I just see my things. Twitch and 3 more pages are not working.
Okay,
not responding.
That might be your wireless.
Yeah,
go check that. Go see if there's something wrong with your router or something. That's what I would do.
It's not the router. It's the phone that I'm circumventing because my Wi-Fi is down.
Oh.
So yeah,
you said that at the beginning. I would. Yeah,
that's what's happening.
This is bad news.
So what I'm thinking I'm gonna do, I'm gonna exit out and I'm gonna retry again. So you'll technically, I think will you get kicked out if I do that?
You won't. I don't think I will, but I'm not 100% sure.
All right, I'm gonna exit out and join you back in a moment.
All right.
Yeah, it's just taking a moment to report the problem. Microsoft, I just want to exit out. I don't care about the report. I know why it's not working. Just when
Holy shit.
And I am back, but I don't know. Remove from stream. There we go. There's only one progressive American, and I am he.
I'm gonna send you something. Fucking gunshots in the Senate chamber.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, send it to me.
I did. It's on Twitter.
Thank you very much. They are shooting in the fucking chamber. So this was from, right now, this is from Matt Fuller. Yep. And he's Huffington Post. There have been gunshots in the chamber. I can confirm there have been gunshots in the chamber. I'll pull it up so for people can see it, so they don't say I'm BSing. Yeah, so this is what the chamber looks like. This is what Matt Fuller's saying.
Yeah, and if you go to the page, he confirms it is gunshots in the chamber. Guns drawn, fired in the chamber. They came there to kill people.
Yeah, this is not a protest. This is an attempted assassination. Here. Is there more video? There's still trying to talk the protesters down. This is not the way to do it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And they broke glass. They broke glass to get. Yeah, you can see in the picture right there, like right at the center. They broke glass. So now I have no idea what exactly we're supposed to do about this kind of shit.
Well, I just told you, like, there's nothing we can do from where we are, but we
Yeah.
can prepare for this to happen where we are, and we can prepare for this to happen in the future. Remember that this happened. Remember who these people are. This
Yep.
is what they want. They want violence because that is the only way that they can control things.
It's and not only that, but we need to seriously start holding because the thing is the way they organize is through social media platforms. We seriously need to talk about not only how much these groups are allowed to engage in commentary online, but we also need to start saying to platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Google, and everything in between that these kind of like nonsensical talk cannot be allowed. Because otherwise they're just going to keep coming and showing up. It's one thing to prepare for an event, but there's got to be some preventative measures because this is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
I'm going to start looking around on Twitter, see what I can find about the Capitol. And now Civil War.
I'm following as many different things as I can. It's just not a lot.
There seems to be a live stream on Twitter. And
someone in the Seattle protest stream apparently said he wanted to murder a senator.
Did this
I still want strands of Pelosi's hair.
Oh my god, someone said I want her head. Okay,
Well, no, he said I want strands of her hair.
Well, somebody else said I want her head.
Okay.
Somebody else. So I'm going to share that because well, actually there was one on the Twitter stream that's pretty good. So
hard to believe the actions that we are being forced to take right now.
Yeah, hard to believe. We want you to stay safe while you're coming down the stairs, Lisa. We do see House members. We saw one, as you said, with the gas mask on, as you described it, and we're watching other members trying to get to a place of safety while the police try to evacuate, apparently trying to evacuate these protesters who are moving into and taking over some parts of the Capitol. Lisa,
Yeah, Judy, they are now.
Go ahead.
Sorry, they're moving us into. They're moving us into a basement. I'm not sure what the ultimate destination is here. Some kind of secure space in the center underground of the Capitol at this point. So I don't know if my signal will stay up, but I will try and keep in touch with you guys as much as I can.
So this is interesting.
This is probably the safest place I can.
Okay, go ahead.
You know that guy who we started this with, the first guy I sent to you?
Yeah.
Elijah Schaefer, the far-right shitheel?
Yeah.
Apparently, he's in Nancy Pelosi's office right now.
What the No way. Okay, yeah, I will pull that up on... Holy goddamn fuck. Yeah, I'm gonna go find his page right now. Elijah Schaefer. Why is he in Nancy Pelosi's office?
They're in the chamber. They're in the Senate chambers.
I met with the thousands of revolution who have sent to put this in how quick staff evacuate. Emails are still on the screen alongside a federal alert warning members of the current. Oh my lord. And they're in the chamber now. Oh, just like. Oh my god. They're literally at the speakers section. What the fuck? Oh my lord. I'm just sharing the image from Igor Bobek on Twitter right now. I'm just gonna edit my name right now.
And the police still aren't acting with force.
Yeah.
Evidently. They're just going to let them take over the chamber. They're going to let them take over all the fucking buildings.
No, they're right now. They are pretty much just holding back, and I don't know why my thing is not loading on Twitter, but that's okay. I'm just gonna go back to Igor Bobek's thing, and I'm taking a look at the Seattle protest stuff right now. In fact, I'll put the Seattle protest stream up because I don't know what else to say at this point. We're just watching our republic.
I mean, it's not falling apart, but it's in lockdown. We're watching an assault on the republic.
Yes.
And that's the thing that I want to stress. That's why I picked the name Do Not Panic. We don't have reports that anyone is injured yet. We don't have reports that anyone has been detained yet. This is an assault. It is not a successful assault.
And it's going to fail because the thing is, once it, like, there's only a certain point where, like, government complicity in the acts of the far right can, like, sustain themselves. And eventually they're going to have to come down hard with the hammer, and these guys are going to have to be driven from the Capitol building.
Yeah.
Never in a million years. Like, I know this happens in state capitol buildings on occasion. Like, that happened in Michigan, and that was a warning sign. But I didn't think they'd be crazy enough to target the federal government.
They've been egged on. They've been... This is... It's the
inevitable consequence of this bullshit.
Yeah.
4 years of conspiratorial rhetoric, and this is what it gets you. And I know some family members may see this, but I don't care about any of the cursing right now. We are literally seeing people storm the Capitol of our fucking government. And all because...
This is an assault on the federal government. This is an assault on all of us and our well-being. This is something unprecedented in modern times. If you're gonna curse, now's the time to do it.
Yeah, like, what the hell are we supposed to even make of this?
I mean, people are going to be sorting that out. But again, there's another thing that I want to stress. Like, I follow people who are on the ground in DC. I follow people who follow fascists and what they do, strictly for observational purposes. And they were saying that something like this might happen, that it was keyed up to happen. And this is why you listen to people on the ground.
Yeah, exactly. The grassroots stuff, particularly when people are taking a look at anti-fascist activity, this is exactly why we need to start listening to these people. When people start saying these people are anti-Semitic, these people are openly fascistic, they're talking about killing people, we need to start taking that seriously. Because not only did they try to overthrow the governor in Michigan, but these people are now trying to take the presidency by force. They're going to probably target the people in Georgia. I wouldn't be surprised. We shat the bed on right-wing... Well, our government shat the bed on right-wing extremism, and it's been ignored for so fucking long.
It also has to be understood that it's been ignored for so long specifically because it has been advantageous for people to ignore it. People in power to ignore it. The bargain that these people have made. I made a video about this fucking ages ago. The bargain that these that liberal democracies make with fascists is that if the fascists repel the far left, then the liberals will support and legitimize the fascists. And we're seeing that agreement break down right now. And you know why it's breaking down? Because the fascists couldn't keep the far left in line.
Yep.
And that's good. That's good for people like us.
Well, at least this will expose like how fucked the rhetoric of Donald Trump and his fascist allies has been. Like I don't know if you're familiar with Christian Walker.
I am not.
He's some little brat on TikTok and stuff, but he spreads this shit, and like he's just some kid. Well, he's my age online, and he spreads this stuff, and he's retweeting the hell out of what Trump was saying earlier, and like my God, like that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about when I say like Twitter platforms and Facebook and others have to stop the fascist rhetoric from spreading. When you see people retweeting someone literally saying, we had the opportunity to take back the government from a fraudulent thing, and then you know that someone's like storming the Capitol because of that rhetoric, take it down. This is far beyond free speech at that point. This is an incitement of violence, and that's not protected by the First Amendment.
Exactly. But they won't because, I think I made a video about this too. The thing about Twitter especially, the reason they don't rein in Donald Trump more is because Donald Trump brings traffic to Twitter, and Twitter uses that to sell ads. That goes back to the whole liberalism thing.
Yeah. That's exactly the issue.
But the fascists don't care about money. They care about power. They only care about money in as much as it can get them power. Also, like, I'm on Twitter yelling at news organizations to call them fascist terrorists, but the reason, it has to be understood that the reason that news organizations aren't doing that right now is because if the government decides that these people had a legitimate grievance, and this is, they could get sued. The news organizations could get sued, basically, and they do work to avoid that. Called political correctness. It is exactly the kind of political correctness. It is exactly the kind of political correctness George Carlin was talking about, incidentally.
Yeah. There can be no politician. Like, even like Twitter's explanation of it is pro-Trump protesters force U.S. Capitol into lockdown. No, the fascists forced the U.S. Capitol into lockdown, and they're screaming because they lost an election and because they're so afraid of the left that they're willing to go so far as to overthrow democracy.
Yeah.
I might end the stream in a bit just because I'm getting really, really heated and there's not much else I could do. I might start it up later again, but
I can't promise I'll be around, but I mean, I'll be on my phone. I'll be on Twitter and stuff, but
yeah. Like, if you want to just DM me and stuff and do what you can, I'll be happy
keep
to
sending you stuff as I find it.
All right, thank you very much. I'm just gonna end the stream soon, so thank you very much for joining me. For those of you who will watch this after the fact, please follow the Rugged Midwesterner on his YouTube channel. He does a lot of good work, and he was part of the reason I was able to do so much live coverage. Thank you very much, Ron.
I do mediocre work.
It helped this out very much, so thank you very much. I'm going to end it right now.